Okay. This will impact on every Nigerian. If you know that trade is a major thing in the world today, and if you look at the institutional framework for coordinating trade between nations, you know that the Apex organization globally is the World Trade Organization, WTO. And I believe we all know who the current EG is. Incidentally, she's a Nigerian. And it's good that you understand what goes on at that level globally. But when we move from the global scene to continental environment, we all are aware that a few years ago, Nigeria joined other countries of Africa to sign the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. In one of the sessions I had a few days ago that is similar to this, somebody asked a question. The question is, can anybody give an idea of the number of policies, programs, and so on that government has come up with in the past maybe 10 years? If you look back, you will agree with me that we all, as a country, we've had quite a large number of policies. And this is good because this is the only way government functions. Government will come up with a policy or a plan, and then from that plan, government will now come up with strategies for implementation. Strategy can then be anything. For example, after independence, we started with the National Development Plans. And then from National Development Plans, that was every 4 years, we now, at some point, we had plans like SAP, Structural Adjustment Program, we had rolling plans, we had NEEDS, National Economic Empowerment and Development Strategy, and so on. And then you will also notice that every federal government that comes in will always have a plan. So you hear about 7-point agenda, you hear about green revolution, you hear about, there are so many of them. And then in addition to this, as you move go into Ministry of Trade, Investment, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Education, you'll also notice there are plans. There are strategic plans, there are all kinds of plans. But one thing that is important is these plans are really very important because they give local perspective as to how the country wants to move. Let me also point out that beyond the federal government plans, there are also plans in the states. You bring your plantain, another person will bring another thing, and we do what? We exchange. Now, what if I go to that market and I have nothing to do? Will I be able to trade? No. So, in theory, free trade is actually very good for all nations. Because if I'm a producer in Nigeria, or if I'm a businessman or woman or a trader in Nigeria, if there is free trade, I'm no longer limited to the population of Nigeria for my business. I'm now open to what? The rest of Africa. That's from 200 to about maybe 1.something billion people. And I don't need to get things like export license, or when my goods land in another country, they impose tax on it, and vice versa. So in theory, it's advantageous because you have wider and you can actually travel, just like if you are traveling to any West African country like Ghana, Gambia, you don't require visa. You just go and they just check your passport. And that's why you see our passport has a can expand it to include the entire Africa. It's supposed to have a lot of advantage. But for goods and services, which is what we are going to discuss today, you will find that those countries that are competitive are the ones that will win eventually. What do I mean by competitive? If you are producing water and the water you are producing is competitive, it means the quality will be high. It means the price will also be what? Low. And it means you can supply on demand and you can do the business. So, this is actually why some people were very apprehensive when this was coming. For the simple reason that we are not yet there. Our industries and our services are not yet very competitive. And this is the economist, professor of economics is here. He will tell you that business is about the economy of scale. Why is it that goods that come from China are very cheap? Because Chinese produce in millions. And you are here producing maybe 100 units or 1,000 units. So that will not be competitive. So why is government trying to do this? Government is saying now we have the free trade agreement with all these potential advantages. How will Nigeria maximize the benefits of this agreement? Because we have signed anyway. If we leave it just like that, things will just be going on. Other countries that are competitive will do what? We gain advantage. And some countries are already ahead of us in terms of being competitive. For example, South Africa. And then a small country like Rwanda. I don't know how many of us have visited Rwanda in recent times. It's a wonderful place. And Nigerians are beginning to troop there. So, such countries will gain advantage and will be at the losing end. But the government doesn't want a situation where our businessmen and women will be losing things or our manufacturers. And that is why government, through the Federal Ministry of Trade, Industries, decided that the best thing to do is to be proactive. Being proactive means we already have this agreement. We need to have another framework, another strategy for making sure that we maximize the benefits of this agreement. And then being proactive means we now come up with strategies that can help our people to benefit from this. That's the whole essence of this exercise. So the ministry decided to start the process by engaging a consultant to come up with a framework. The consultant has done his work and made recommendations. So we now have a strategy framework under which Nigeria will implement the AFTA agreement. But of course, you know, the way government works is that you come up with something, you need to subject it to stakeholder engagement. So stakeholders can look at it and agree or disagree, and then you modify again until you get a document that will serve everybody. And the ministry has arranged that there will be 3 workshops, one in Lagos here, one in Kano, and then the final one in Abuja. So we are starting with this one today in Lagos. That's why we are here. You are the stakeholders. All of you here are stakeholders, and the first one is starting here in Lagos. And the idea is that the resource persons will make a presentation to actually take us through this plan. And then you raise your issue. And I want us to be open. I want us there is no suggestion that is useless or nonsense. Any suggestion you have on how to improve this document, please make that suggestion. So that we can harvest all the suggestions, we will use it to upgrade the document, to improve on the document that is submitted to the ministry. And then we will take the revised document to another validation workshop similar to what we are doing today. The next one will be in Kano. So hopefully the one in Lagos here will have captured the minds of people from southern Nigeria, hopefully. And then when we get to Kano, the stakeholder workshop in Kano will also capture the minds of those representing the northern part of the country. And then the final workshop will be in Abuja, where we now bring all these things together and then also harvest more comments. And then we use all your inputs to improve on the document and submit that to the ministry. And then, of course, this will now eventually get adopted. The minister is going to take it to Federal Executive Council. Once it's adopted, then it becomes Nigeria's framework for implementing the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. Now, how do we do this? And that's why there are suspects. They will make presentations to at least guide you on what we are talking about. Remember that this is a nationwide thing. It's not the ministry alone, and that's why the ministry is doing this. It's not only the ministry, all the other ministries are involved in actual implementation. Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Agri, Ministry of Education, all the other ministries. And then parastatals, customs, NAFTA, some different parastatals are going to be involved in implementation. And then the private sector. It's actually the private sector that is actually implementing, because you are the ones that will do the business, you are the ones that will manufacture the goods, you are the ones that will provide the services. How do we leverage on this to be able to expand our market from Nigeria to other African countries? And these are the things we want to capture to make sure that it will be easy for you to operate. So that's why we're here today. And Dr. Bosco has already told us, we'll start with the first presentation, and then after that we'll have questions and answers, and then we'll do the second presentation, and then we'll have questions and answers, and then finally we'll now go into an interactive session where we'll now capture what we feel we need to do. Each organization should be doing what. At the end of the day, we'll come up with a revised document for the ministry. I think that's the overview of what we need to do today. Before we call the first presenter, I will request if there are any clarification, questions, anything that will make it difficult for you to participate. Please, we want this to be a very interactive thing. It's not a matter of professor talking and others listening. For it to really work, we need to engage you. We need to, every one of us should be involved. So, when the presentation starts, note your questions so that when you finish it, you can ask questions. And then we'll still have another interactive session later. That one I will moderate. So, are there any questions, comments, clarifications before we start?
From Barika Limited. I just get the clarification, sir. This workshop, is it just restricted to after implementation or trade generally within the world? Because we're talking about AFCTA, whereas I thought it's about market access generally in the world.
Yes. Okay, but of course, by extension, it means trade all over. But our main focus is on this agreement. That is the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So we'll be focusing more on trade within the African continent under the auspices of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. So the global one is actually wider, but our focus today is on Africa. From the University of Lagos, he has been involved And you know, the economists are the people that, when I was much younger, each time they say economists, I think I always relate to people who are very steep. Is it true? But we've got to realize that everything we do in this world is economics. And so you will be talking to us from the perspective of an economist, but focusing on what we really want to do, focusing on goods. You know, there are two arms, goods and services. And as we were discussing earlier with my team here, you see that manufacturing of goods is important. But you also see that over the years we neglected services a lot. But in recent times, Nigeria has really come up with, it's coming up with services. That's why we're enjoying so many of the things we're enjoying today. So he will talk on services, and then later his colleague will talk on, he will talk on goods, and his colleague will now talk on services. So please.
Mr. Anna from the Federal State Investment would like to do the brief on behalf of the ministry.
Richard Ademi. What is the idea for the development of AFTA? Prof says so much about it. At the ministry level, we believe already there are enough policy and strategic documents to promote the non-wire export. And however, we are yet to have a coordinated approach towards achieving the desired goal. And this document is to give us that a coordinated approach that will enable us to benefit the continental market and also the global market. In recent times, and up to present, you will discover that trade between Nigeria and African countries is very low. Recent statistics show that inter-African trade between Nigeria and South Africa, trade between Nigeria and Ghana, trade between Nigeria and Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, inter-Africa. Recent statistics show that it's in the range of 12 to 14%. It is very low. And trade between Nigeria and EU is about 60%. Trade between Nigeria and the Asian countries is about 30%. So, why was the statistic like that? And what can we do to improve the inter-African trade? That is why we are here. Because the competition now is between the continents. And if the statistics have already shown that our benefit is around 12 to 14, meaning we have a long way to go if we want to improve these statistics. And you and I can also assess further that why the statistics inter-African trade is low for Nigeria is because we are only exporting raw material. And that is why you see the chunk of trade is EU and Asia, where they are already industrialized. They need our raw material to feed in their industry. And after value addition, the byproduct will also come to Nigeria. So now, under the AFTA, is it convenient for us to trade raw material? If we continue trading raw material, which means trade between Nigeria and the African countries will still be very low. So that is the reason. And there are so many opportunities today has an estimated population of 1.4 billion people. 1.4 billion people. And this market has over $600 billion market value for goods and over $20 billion market value for services. Nigeria want to take advantage of this. That is where we are here today. Nigeria wants to be more integrated into the continent non-oil and services trading system. We want to be more integrated. That is where we are here today. I don't know of Lagos, but if you go to Abuja, you see these herbs, these traditional herbs. You see them, Ghana herbs. You see them all over in Abuja, Ghana herbs. Meaning that Ghana has started even exporting their traditional herbs to Nigeria. But I've never even seen that of Nigeria in Ghana or in Cote d'Ivoire. I've not seen. Even the one in Nigeria that may be better than that of Ghana, our people don't patronize it. We tell you it doesn't work. So, these are challenges. And we are here so that you can add value to the draft document. So that Nigeria can take advantage of this $600 billion market in goods and $20 billion market in services. In a nutshell, that is where we are going. I will pray that your input will make this document more robust at the end of the day. Thank you very much.
All right, let's proceed with the presentation. For those who have to just get it listed.
I want to start with the question, and I will end the question. Because we are here to address questions. The question I want to start with is, I want to a little bit encounter what Mr. I don't know his name, Ahmed. Yeah, Ahmed said. A truck was two trucks were carrying cartons of Indomie to Ogbonne, the Republic, as a form of international trade. Then they were intercepted on the way by some security men. They had a way to Indomie to present to the Republic. Said, we don't have enough Indomie to eat Nigeria. Why are we giving Indomie to? One said, to go back, take those stuff back. And the other said, no, we have already the book, and this thing need to be delivered in 3 days' time. Then, after much grumbling, they told the guy that they must pay some amount, heavy amount, before they can call the order. The question I want to ask is that we don't have a lot in Nigeria, and we are taking Indomie across our border. What will constrain the question? What will constrain? And my question, after they have explained and they still asked to pay money, they have to pay money from one point to another. What was constrained? That's the question. Is the constraint value added? There's value added. This is not raw material. This is what? Finished products. Take it across the border to export these goods. They can make imports that market. But they were asked to go back. Don't access this market. You have right because we don't have enough. The constraint therefore is Nigeria need to increase productivity. Actually, we don't have enough. If you want to access any market, you should eat. It's what you eat remain. You can what? Give it or take. I have enough in my family. This one is sell over. Let me sell it out. That's one constraint. That's one thing to know. Another one is that government put policy. It's not enough to make policy. We have policy everywhere according to problem. When the government come up now after election, they said dismantle all roadblocks. Police dismantle all roadblocks. After 2 days, the roadblocks was return. I never passed through Benin, Lagos Road. If you are going to this road, you will know what we are roadblocks. You check all over 50 checkpoints. If you are carrying a bag of rice, you will foreign bag of rice, you know the steps to take to pass through that road. So, you find out that it's not only value added that is requiring the constraint, but what is the constraint on it? So, my paper this morning, what you have to protect, not my deterrence. We are yet to look into the apply knowledge. No, we, because we are only looking at the theories. But the theory can work if there is implementation. Before I start out in again is that Professor Akoyade, he was the economic advisor to Babangida in 1985. Babangida gave him a word, please get stakeholders. How they serve is good for the country. Not all stakeholders around. Like this, so many stakeholders, national and international, people from IMF, okay, they look into SAP theory. Is it good for the country? From Samuel Adewa, we that contract. He looked to, at the end of the day, he returned back to the local government. I said, this policy is not right for the country. Samuel Adewa, on the part of the economic state. After 1 year, government implemented that one. He signed the agreement of SAP. He did not listen to the professor. I did not tell Professor. I was part of the committee who they call after analysis was done in June 2019 to review the agreement. That was before the agreement was signed. I was in that committee. Then Professor John did the analysis. We found that all the variables, the effect of the signing on the variables were negative. And we did recommendations. After 2 weeks of that committee, which I was part, this agreement was signed. So, if you don't know, I'm not able to work. Into the system. But I let you have a personal level. I'm very proud because I'm the last teacher. Then, what I want to do is that how do we assess the international market? Anything after Nigeria is international. Anything after Nigeria is international. How do we assess what? International market. Going through the content of the work, and I'm happy that we should send you the soft copy because it's better for us. Let's send the soft copy so I can go and you can watch it, translate and study it, and give us answers to the questions. So no time to do. And this agreement has already been analyzed by the prof. The story behind the African trade. And what they want to achieve in the year 2050 in the continent, they want to build up all the US into African countries, not into the world, into the African countries. And then we invest our interests. And I want to say the bottom line for every business, community, any person, that country, or a company is to make profits. For either agreement, Nigeria is out for a business to make profit. That's the truth. And if you want to make profit, do this matter in profit making, very business, output growth, and the only rule of capital accumulation. Nigeria want to make profit. The reason is that our GDP can grow, that is output growth. If it did not grow at the end of the year after finance agreement, it means that we are not good for business. We'll be shouting that there's recession, everything. People will grow. Another thing is that how do we take care of the welfare of people? That is the only rule. Whatever you are doing in the business, make profit, that's the GDP growth. And two, take care of the welfare of what? Of the people. And if you bring your people to portfolio and say, we know the mark, that shows that you want enough to do in Nigeria and you are taking them to the republic. That shows that you cannot access another market if our people is not there what concept of market access. What is market access? I will also summarize for you. Market access is how can you take your goods across the border, like market access, to other markets? How can you take the goods to other borders or other countries? That is market access. There are conditions that can limit you or constraints that can limit you to take your goods across the border. What are all these conditions? I don't know whether you see constraints that can limit us. This one is the part of market of assets. For a company or for a company, you can see you have goods around you, surplus, please, surplus goods around you. Already, you have battle market goods, and they are packed already into containers. The question is, how do you pay goods? Outside, a child world is local. Inside is international. But then, how do you move this goods into other worlds? Outside contamination. You take strategies. You have to do what you call framework, planning. What can cause innovations? You have to take care of that. And what I want to assess is just not oil product. In Nigeria, when we talk about not oil product, all we talk about is an agro product. No. Even right now, that agro products are not as functional as manufacturing products. I talk about that, for example, I make reference to the example I'm making like Indomie. Indomie is not what agro product. You see, the access, if you get to Ghana, check the price of Indomie and check the price of Indomie in Nigeria. But it's high in Ghana, they are what in Nigeria. So, for that, we can take that and export something for them. I think it was not for everyone. All they talk about is Gary, Apple, Popcorn, all those things. They are not only that. So, I do that. Actually, we don't even get our essence from oil. That's the truth. So I checked the tablet, this tablet. We tell that the non-oil product is more of what? More of like, it's not our GDP that was that the oil was, I think the oil inside. So that's why we want to take this serious. How do we get this one into the national water? Example of the agro project of interest. They are here, and you don't know that these are some of the examples we need to work for their progress in trying to export all those products into the African countries. Their progress, examples of the more or the agro water products which are applied there. I say, get material you see. We need to what? Export. For example, we have a wire, the one we use in the electrical of the house. Nigeria has the best, even in the world. But how do we export that? We still buy what? A foreign water, store just to wear our families. How do we export all those things? The non-organic product, which is a non-agro product, they are even more in number than what? Than the agri product that we sent out. In Nigeria, let's say export. All we need to say, how do we export yam? How do we export garri? How do we export juice? How do we export rice? How do we export all those things? Not that only that one. So we should also focus and see how we can export all these products into the rest of African countries. We have 55 African countries. How do we export them? Small allied countries live our country. There's one thing about small allied countries. If I ask a question, is Nigeria a big country in international trade? Now, in the world continent, Nigeria is not a big country, it's a small country in terms of international trade. It is how big a country to say international economy is that if you can export more and import less, you are a big country as far as what trade is concerned. Okay? But Nigeria is a small country in world trade because it import more and what? Export. But in Africa, let's talk about Africa. In Africa, about what we are saying now, Nigeria is a big country. In Africa, Nigeria is very big. It is very big. How big is Nigeria? In the world ranking, basically the ranking of the world bank says this is the ranking. In Africa, see how big is Nigeria? Even South Africa, the next one to Nigeria, is catching up with us. Because they encourage exports. Nigeria is very big. Recently, he has about $411 billion in 2021. While South Africa next to us has $418 billion. That's why Nigeria's economy is very big. This business, we must take what we call comparative advantage. Because we are big in GDP, we are big in population, we are big in the geographical area, we are still big. That's why we need to what? Take that one, take comparative advantage, and export more. But there are challenges to this export. That's the problem we have. The challenges, I will drop this one because we need to what? Look at the documented estimate to you, soft copy, you have it. Those are the challenges of Nigeria. It's not we are not big in Africa, as far as the country, but we cannot export. What is the reason? Give us strategies today. There are challenges to this export. The challenges to this is that there are so many challenges to it. I list out here some major challenges which you have. I said number one, which I will go on through. Number one, I put this one in form of questions to you, which I want you to answer. In form of question. Number one, how do we what? Which area do we, in Nigeria, really have comparative advantage that the government can encourage and fund? Say, okay, this area, let me do it. We have to meet challenges. Number two is that we need seaports. Seaports. Without seaports, Lagos seaport is overcrowded. It's overcrowded. So we need seaports to carry out exports to other African waters. These are challenges. Please, those challenges are all in form of questions all the time. They are not in form of questions. I go straight to the questions. Look at the question I'm asking, which I want you to answer. As you are there right now, please look at those questions. I have about 20 questions. And time will permit us there. I will have big questionnaires give to you. Answer those questions, you give back to us. It will be very good for us. Okay? But for the fact that we cannot, I don't know how you will answer those questions. Okay? Give us the feedback. So with this question, we can get feedback. What is the structure put in place by the authorities to address infrastructure work, social amenities, in order to improve what physical access to water? Very important. The truth is that if you don't address this, all the studies will be based to access all the markets, African market, will be useless. We cannot access African market. If we don't have infrastructure, we don't have what social amenities. Number two, I said, what policemen as what? CBN of Nigeria to take to what? To high interest rate. You want to produce. Compare the interest rate in South Africa and compare the interest rate in Nigeria. Those go to Japan, compare the interest rate, the borrowing rate, and compare what the interest rate was. Because Nigeria interest rate is killing. You cannot produce with high interest rate, with high interest rate. That if you borrow money from the bank and you want to produce something to export, only the interest rate will what? You take the money out. See, how the government intended to address the issue of poor power supply? That is a major constraint if you want to access any market. Poor power supply. Right now, let me start with the schools. Okay? Poor power supply. You know that's what you know. If you have power supply, just like I said to somebody, if you want to produce in Nigeria with diesel, and someone want to produce in Ghana with what? Electricity. They will only, Nigeria will import from Ghana. They cannot export. The reason is that the cost of production there is what? Very high. So you know what to do. Give a recommendation. In that case, Nigeria will not accept Ghana market because they have a high cost of production. They can't give it down. So that's what we are doing. What steps are the government taking to reduce the number of unnecessary what? Checking points along all roads. That is another constraint to ourselves. I don't know if you can. Somebody wants to export Indomie. They said, no, go back to Nigeria. Because you have to face a lot of us. Checking what? Checking points. Checking what? Checking points. I'm writing up. Number 5, they are just 13. I think they are necessary. They are very necessary to this question. Do those unnecessary checkpoints discourage exporters as a result of delay and warranted charges and levy on them? That's what the issue by yourself. You know. You have to tell us, we go to the question, can access what market. Go to Senegal, go to Ghana, go to this thing. Number 6, why should exporters refuse to identify and release market for other people as there? Nigerian product, when you accept the little African market, they don't pay the rate of Nigeria, made in Nigeria. That's another thing. Why do you take it? Don't pay the of Nigeria. Which is very important. You see China, you know it's bad, made in China. You know it's serious, made in China. Number 7, as seaport necessary for pleasure, seaport. For non-oil goods, you cannot carry out this to access market of African countries without this seaport. There will be what? Seaport. Number 8, should Nigerian trade policy review area of capital analysis? Yes. They should review area we have strength. Number 9, the asset of model what? Strategy and police facility. We cannot stop. You can't even sell your yam to America because if you have stay 2 months, he has problem. Yes. I can know what. Let your yam stay in the bar for 4 months. It's gone. So we need what? A model what? Storage. If you produce, you store before you can export. If they stay 4 months, they are gone. So that one will limit America to what assets. Then I almost do there. Then the last point, how do we handle the problem of normal goods and inferior goods? That's another problem. People say, I don't buy Nigeria because they're inferior. If you put this inferior here, you are not consistent with normal goods that are good. You sell it back, you sell it to somewhere, you say, don't buy Nigerian products because they always want inferior, they are not, they are bad. Nigerian products, don't buy them. So we should always check. Use the MAN, the manufacturing Nigeria, so that we are hard work. Good quality goods that we can sell other countries. When they get here, they say, yeah, Nigerian goods are what they are better. Not that they will send it back. If you sell something to America now, or they will send it back and say, no, they are inferior. Number 11, how do we improve on falling quality salary? That was after the future was systematic constraint that can work. Number 13, how do a big country like Nigeria, intended in Africa, intended to treat small country, what? You must give, if you want to access other small countries, you must either you do what you call what? Tax crop, tariff crop, they are very necessary. So the question I want to ask is that, look at all those questions. I don't know how to say it to you. You take your contribution. You pick your solution. If you want to access market, this has framework in order to access African market. if not, we are here to work today. We are here to start. And with this, I can say thank you very much for your attention.
Great to take comments, questions on what they have just presented. As for the questions that were posed towards the end of the presentation, before the end of the next session, we will receive your individual so that you can send us the feedback. Remember, this is actually a consultative meeting. We are not here to be lectured. Some of you already know some of these things. The goal really is to elicit this factual information that you have as a result of maybe the offices that you apply or responsibility that you carry out in your agency, so that we can incorporate it into the framework to be robust enough to capture different aspects. Remember that when you talk about the African market, there are a lot of factors involved, there are a lot of agencies involved. It's not just the Ministry of Agriculture, or Ministry of Mines, or Ministry of Industry and Investment. As basic as immigration, for example, they are very important because if people can't move freely, customs, FIRS, if we keep charging multiple taxes, we discover that if we affect the payment cost of products. Therefore, imagine if Ghana produces this phone for 15 naira, and then we produce the same phone for 100 naira. In terms of price advantage, you're already off, right? So we all want to do here today is to elicit your responses, elicit your input, and then use it to enrich the framework to drive this initiative. Thank you. So, questions, please.
Mine is not really a question, and it's also a question. I want to start from where you started, sir, by saying that there was a particular policy sometime in the South that the professor said the policy is not good. At the end of the day, the government still went ahead with the policy. Now, we are sitting here, we are trying to do something on the framework. At the end of the day, how sure are we that this framework is going to go far? Like, let me give you an example. Like, we work in Asoda, and we have issues with coconuts being taken from Ghana to bringing coconuts in from Ghana because our processors they prefer Ghana coconut because it is assumed that Ghana coconut will be allowed to stay and fell down on its own. It's not as if they will block it. So because of that, it's sweeter. So they prefer getting Ghana coconut. But we've done everything to stop this innovation from stopping them from bringing it. We did seminars, we called them, but at the end of the day, they tell us it's political. Is this, is that. So my question, and I'm saying it's not question, I said, what are we doing before bringing people here that whatever we decide here is going to work? It's not as if we come here again, we do all, and at the end of the day, they will tell us it's political. It's not going anywhere. Thank you.
I just want to make an observation that the people at the border selling the or trying to send the Indomie back, I don't believe it's because we don't have enough, because it's not as if Indomie sells everything that it produces every day. I think it's lack of education or policy, lack of policy coordination. The immigration officer did not know that we need to export, so it's lack of education. Then one of the things that you mentioned about difficulties in sending our goods outside, we spoke about ports. I would rather talk about, well, why the ports are important. What about shipping routes? Right now, we cannot ship any goods from Nigeria to West Africa. If you want to do that, you first take your goods to maybe Europe, China, and so on before going back to West Africa. How is it that Nigeria cannot make it possible for Nigerians to be able to ship by sea from Nigeria to West Africa? It's one of the things we should address. Then you also talked about Nigeria could be inferior. People always see Nigerian goods as inferior. I suppose NAFDAC does analysis and checks all goods before the goods are approved and given registration numbers. Is it that people working in NAFDAC are not competent, or that is just a bad perception for Nigerian goods? Thank you.
I just want to buttress what my colleagues have said here. Is there any representative of National Shipping Council here for the export or even the immigration? Because all this we are saying, I believe that we should be here to hear everything, all our flights, all the problems and challenges we are facing as regarding the export of goods all over or internationally. Are they here, sir?
I think let's respond to the questions and the comments, then we'll take another batch so that we don't have the stretch of comments and questions and mix up our responses. So for the person who asked about if the government will enforce the implementation of all that we are discussing today, this stakeholders forum, or we just do another get together and then we move to the next item on the agenda. So I will let Professor Peter Owan to help us address some of these concerns. For the other person concerning some of the issues that are raised, I think we can address that first. So let us roughly jump into a question we have about the other stakeholders, key stakeholders who are supposed to participate in this conversation. Just to begin, I'll say that for the victims, in this case, I don't think there's any more communication here, so I don't think so. Okay. So the communication with the victims, however, this is the first engagement. We will have other issues. So they will have stayed in the panel and we have raised the same issues in those meetings. And we'll see how we factor all of that in the final draft. So this is the first engagement. We have 2 more engagements again. So we'll go to the question and that's when we ask the appropriate authorities. Thank you very much.
Okay, yes. The question is starting from the first question posed, that is people stopping people at the border or the case of Coconut. Yes, of course, under the prevailing circumstances, under the prevailing laws, some of these things are not allowed under the prevailing laws. But remember that what we're trying to look at is an agreement that has just been signed and the implementation has not even started. Even though we have signed it, what we are trying to do now is to come up with a framework that will improve and enable the implementation. And that is why the Ministry of Industries is saying, let us come up with this framework. And under the framework, when you see the document, you will see a table where there are different stakeholders and their roles and what they are supposed to be doing or what they are supposed to do. So the answer is that when this thing is done, when we finish with the document, the ministry, because it's not just Ministry of Industry, all the parastatals will be involved. And each one will have, so they will have all these documents. And then there will also be, by the time we finish with this, there will also be sensitization and awareness creation so that those who are the operators, that is those of you who are operators, the business people, the traders, and then those who are the implementing agencies like customs, immigration, and so on, will also be aware that these things are there now. And of course, you will also tell me that sometimes there are laws and people still go against those. I give you one example. Some of the things the uniform people do, like stopping us when we are driving. A good example is vehicle, road safety, and so on. Unknown to many of us, a road safety officer has no right to impound their vehicle and take it to their station. I don't know if it has happened to you before, or you know somebody it has happened to. They stop you, and there is an offense. Maybe there is an infringement. Maybe there's something you don't have. The law does not allow them actually to impound their vehicle, delay you for the road, they take you to their station or whatever. Until it happened to a lawyer. And the lawyer decided to bring out mine and pursue the matter, and he went to court. And the law, yes, of course, is against the law, but in implementing the law, the judge ruled that the road safety man or whoever vehicle had no right to impound that vehicle. He should have taken this matter to court. And then the court will now pronounce a fine based on the law. If you now don't pay the fine, it's now between you and the law enforcement people. So what I'm trying to say is that these things, the important number one step is to have these things in documents. Then the next one is implementation. And that's why we have the organized private sector groups. Madam, I think you say your own is Lagos State Coconut Development Authority. Okay, so you are more like a government agency. But I'm sure when you go, there is also like a Coconut Traders Association or Exporters Association. In fact, the Ministry of Industry people will tell you that there are 20 associations and they are registered under them. Whether it is cashew, tomato, cocoa, they have their association. Producers, processors, and exporters association. So when there are issues, if, for example, you want to move goods and customs people begin to disturb you or anybody begin to disturb you, under the umbrella of these associations, you can look for redress and get it corrected as long as you arm yourself with this document by the time the document is adopted. But right now, the implementing strategy has not been done, and that's why we are doing this. So that by the time we finish with it, every agency of government will have it, both at federal and state level. Apart from what you will encounter within Nigeria, when you are even entering the countries, you will also see similar roadblocks, isn't it? And so again, you equip yourself with the tool, which is this framework agreement. And this is what everybody will need to do. So, in as much as we cannot swear that whatever we do must be implemented, it depends on us as Nigerians. The important thing, number one, is to do our own, and then the implementation now depends on how we drive it as a government through the Ministry of Industries and other government agencies. But the important thing is that anybody who is in this business will eventually know what the law says and what the agreement says. And that's why we have organizations like Export Promotion Council. They run series of seminars to enlighten people and give them information on how these things can be done. I think that's where, I don't know if I understand all the questions.
Yes, I think.
Is there any other one I missed?
I think the questions are just to add to what was said, whatever we are doing here, we have to go to the Federal Electoral Council. The ministry, once they adopt the document, they will have to put the document in for through the Federal Electoral Council for national So I know that we've had some of these experiences, but we keep trying in our country. I was speaking with Mr. Kafia earlier, and he also expressed the similar sentiment. And at the end of the day, both together and keep doing what we have to do. So our country, Nigeria, we don't have any other country. So keep doing what you're doing. The legislations are there, and if that's why it is very important. And what you have just said now is maybe it is one of your recommendations. Is there a way for us to protect ourselves so that we don't become a dumping ground? So that we don't become a dumping ground. If we can legislate on it and say, okay, we bought finished product, they don't give us raw material, we already have our own material. So for manufacturers, use our own equipment, there's nothing wrong with it. Because there were people who were actually using it before. Before the whole idea of Ghana's equipment is better than that. Okay, so all of that, there are different agencies to drive it. For example, the agency that will drive the legislation might not be the same agency that will drive their awareness campaign and the sensitization. So different agencies would have different responsibilities and roles to play. But the rest assured that as a team, we will do all we can to ensure that this will work. All right, thank you. So just
there is a further personnel not properly educated about the time for efforts. Shifting routes to be established for Nigeria to address. These are just our own words. I think that when this agreement will be passed, all those things will be implemented and all those will be addressed in the document. This one is for, I don't know who's collecting it. Okay, you don't give the suggestion.
so you can write down the suggestions. Let us so anything you can just say to the
Thank you. I stand I want to start a question because my name is Arupita from Lagos Ministry of Commerce and Social Cooperatives. Just yesterday, we inaugurated the Lagos State Technical Working Group on AFTA that will drive so that we are not shortchanged in the state, that we take full advantage of AFTA in the country. And we intend to design this committee with all the local governments, all the 20 NGOs for more sensitization for our people so that our entrepreneurs are not left behind. That was we did yesterday. Thank God for this. And we hope that this will not be like any other. Because policies are everywhere. Because one of our major challenges is how to implement them. I want to suggest a project that less of Jakarta, Indonesia, their governments don't pay lip service to support their entrepreneurs. They give you a particular year. I had a contact with the commercial country of Indonesia. We had a meeting, and they told me if they can bring business to their country, certain dollars I have for. That's the length they went in Indonesia. We want to appeal to state government, everything that will make life easy for entrepreneurs to export without each. All the agencies at the state and federal, I think that what we're looking at. We don't, this new year, we should give the ground running on AFTA. The agreement has been signed, and we don't think we should delay anymore, so that we can take full advantage of the benefits. Going forward, I will also advise that when we get back to Abuja, whatever we need to do for states to help the entrepreneurs. All federal agencies, NAFDAC should support that. All government agencies should support that to make these people. We should carry them on their shoulder. If we have to teach them on export, we have to do it. After some time, when their feet is on the ground, we can start doing this. Because at this now, there is a fear that other countries will benefit more than Nigeria. We have the market. Already they are bringing all their things to Nigeria to market. So, before we go on, quite important. And one of the things we will be doing for entrepreneurs, because one of the disadvantages we have in this country is individualistic problem. You want to go to export again. If there is possible coming up an export opportunity where we can pull resources, pull ideas, pull products that we send one, and things like that, we should look into this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, all right. So the last question.
I'm a coconut professor. I'm here under the platform of the last what I picked in the professor's presentation was that people don't want to patronize even in Nigeria. My opinion in two folds. One, on the part of the processor or the manufacturer. We've got to add a standard. And we have to maintain that standard. As a manufacturer, as a processor, there has to be standard. It doesn't have to be our interest in bringing out good quality products. I think if we can maintain that standard, the money and the profit will come. Secondly, on the part of the regulator, Mr. Arun mentioned NAFDAC, I have to mention NAFDAC again. They maintain quality, but the process is very cumbersome. From my own experience, even for you to take samples in NAFDAC, you will almost have to go and get a loan to produce what you need as samples. And you begin to wonder, are they feeding the community or what? Is it more than the lab test? So I think we need a less cumbersome process for standard quality assurance. Thank you.
Thank God for NASI, National Institute of Small Scale Industrialists. They've started it because they are all entrepreneurs, industrialists. As a matter of policy and law and enforcement, every Wednesday in my ministry, we are made to showcase meet the neighbors. And from my head to my toe now, it's meet the neighbors. It's made by our entrepreneurs. My standard is made by offline industry. These clothes and this product. What I want to say is, December has just passed. All AMPAs, they are full of foreign products. We should reject it. We should reject it. They should have the product of this, my sister, our products. All the product of it in Lagos, it in Nigeria, to be in all our AMPAs. Our products should be there. Please, let's take this to federal. They should enforce state to implement it. When you see the big bosses of APAS, they are foreign products. How will they go? How will they go? Thank you.
So this platform, these are critical issues that we raise. We look at them, they are very open, and incorporate some of them because it's very important that even before we are asking other countries to buy these products, how patronage, how patronage we need to our own products. Okay. Thank God for the ban on foreign rice. Because it was a talk of war, like people are now fighting against Ghana several documentaries, several videos. And thank God for what Lagos State government is doing. Part of the conversation also will be that states become key drivers. Because Abuja is too far from the people. States should, play a critical role in ensuring that whatever policy strategy that the federal government come up with, that they drive it in the states, engage the local government, so that the people who need these things, young people who need to start looking at entrepreneurship, will know the right route to explore, so that we can have a synergy from the federal to the state, to the local government, to the people. So these are where they express their opinions and comments, and we take it all very well. Okay. Just 1 minute, 1 minute. Let me just don't listen to me, please. You know what I mean?
I would say the leadership private businessman under the name of SOFA Nigeria Limited. I appreciate all that was discussed, the questions raised, that is, those factors that have put challenges in the way of ordinary Nigerians who are producing, the challenges they face in production, and then he just mentioned something that made me to say I want to talk, the ban on importation of rice, and why it is cheaper for imported rice to be moving about in Nigeria, while our own is not cared for. Now, I want us to remember too, the war in Ukraine brought about a great scarcity in the world. And what the UNO also did was that they said, okay, they had an agreement with Russia to begin to ship grain from Ukraine. Now, it's not from individuals in Ukraine, rather from a box somewhere that has been put down. Where I'm going is subsidies. Americans subsidize their local productions to be able to export cheaply to other countries. Chinese, they subsidize the local productions to be able to export to other countries. What do we do about that here? I know before we have great CEOs somewhere around where, but the only time I hear of that is when there is a need by MEMA or emergency agency. So now they say, go to our city and bring out rice or grain to pushing the effect of high cost of those products in local market. Why don't they collect these grains at the right prices to our local producers so that they will not lose, and then package them, combine people will now package them and export them cheaply so that it will be easily accessible in other countries where they are to be exported. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Polly. I'm into food processing. Now, we are talking about after. I've actually attended a lot of training on after. And I see it as that for REITs to work in Nigeria, first of all, the state government and the federal government have to come to an agreement that this is what we actually want to understand, and we have to work towards it. Last month, I had a business I had to do that involved moving Gary from Delta State to Ibadan. You will not believe that I had to pay for Delta State, I had to pay for Edo State for movement of agricultural products. You understand it? Within Nigeria, and this was Gary that is meant to be exported from the country. And you are telling me that if the state government and the federal government, they are not collaborating, is there any way that the entrepreneurs among us can collaborate in order to increase the flow of goods outside the country? That is what the states these policies they make. You understand it? I see no reason why Federal Ministry of Industry, they can't, like, for instance, during the COVID era, for you to move your agricultural product, there was a price that was given to us at Nasima to make the effect. When you get to a checkpoint and you show this badge, you are allowed free passages, you understand? I believe that the federal government should be able to handle such policy, create such policies to encourage movement within the states, because it's from within the states these goods can leave the country. That is one. Then the other area I'm going to talk about is the agency, the government agency. There are duplicities of roles. So me, I feel there is no, the role standard organization is playing is also the same role. Some NAFDAC is also playing. You understand it? Why don't they merge some of these agencies together? You understand it? Get them under one umbrella. I must get standard organization certificates to export a particular quantity. I must get NAFDAC to export. And NAFDAC, the funny thing, the painful thing about NAFDAC is the NAFDAC number I have for my 5 CL or 50 CL must be different. I will pay the same amount for a 10-liter CL. Are you encouraging me or are you discouraging me? You understand it? The government has to look into all this. If they really, really want entrepreneur and they want NAFDAC to actually work, to survive. Thank you.
I think everybody has shared the sentiment. Again, this is the reason why such meetings are very important. So I will keep seeing it over and over again. And government, until the government, the federal government does the right thing. All right.
I think you can give just 30 seconds. Not a minute, Papa. Not a minute. 30 seconds.
Sorry, okay, can we take your question in the next session? Okay,
30 seconds.
yeah, so let us take the next presentation and then we'll go into an interactive section. So the interactive section will be coordinated by Prof. So it will be an open-ended engagement. So let's not join so many issues together. All right, so let me take welcome Mr. Emmanuel Bello for his presentation. All right, there we go. While we clap in Dr. Orion for his wonderful presentation. Thank you so much.
The improvement of our banks because of the competition between our banks and external banks. If they don't want to change right now, by the time the app is implemented, there will be competition. I go to First Bank for loan and refuse to give me loan. I go to Bank of Ghana, and once I get the loan, I'll do the business. And First Bank of Nigeria removes out. So there will be competition. So under tourism, of course, I mentioned the woman that sells Yalama, for example. We're talking about hotel and restaurant. It's captured under tourism. We're talking about travel agencies and tour operators, tourist guide services, and the rest of them has to do tourism. Now, the tourism ecosystem basically helps every other sector. It helps every other sector. Transportation, entertainment, hotel, cultural, craft, restaurants, beverages, and the rest of that. It's of course, tourism is served as a foreign source of company. It's for the movement.
Facility to power an entire campus. I think they are doing it as a pilot. They took one with the political zone, but they are public universities. So, in fact, some of those universities that are intervening now, they are even extending extending the power to their neighbors. And everything is purely completely social. So in crafting this, we have to now, because you see, when you are trying to get somebody to do something, it's not always to condemn. You can say this wonderful initiative should be extended to clusters. And actually, that was the concept of the NBTI, that is the Technology Incubation Center, where new businesses, new startups can go and start, and then they are shielded from all these issues of power because there was a central power supply, central water, and all that, and technology. Unfortunately, those clustering systems did not function as they should. But under this regime, to be able to have SMEs that can give us goods and services for what we're trying to do, I think we need to go back to that. Let me also, before the gentleman talks, let me also say that for services, especially in the ICT sector, there's a lot going on under Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy through NIDA. They are creating clusters of hubs, technology hubs, where young people can go and be developing software and so on, and they have access to electricity, internet access. They are already doing this. It's being done between NIDA, Ministry of Communications, and Vice President's Office. Unfortunately, some of these things are not very well known to Nigeria, but I'm aware that this is going on, but it needs to be done on a massive scale so that it will have more impact. So we use this to encourage them to say you need to do more so that people in this area can get help. Yes, sir.
I want to say that on the issue of power, the government should be sincere about the privatization of the power sector. Because presently, he said they are privatized it, and yet government is still giving us some money in terms of the power industry. So if they have done it the way the telecom service providers brought it, I think the power industry will have been migrated by now. The second part of my contribution is that the government itself should lead in privatizing, patronizing the local industries. For example, if you look at industry and other motor manufacturing companies, the government will go out to buy vehicles for the politicians, say the legislators, the executives, and others. And yet we have local industries here. If they have been patronizing those industries, our such industries will have grown more than what it is now. So if local governments can buy from industries or other companies, the local governments, all the government agencies, if they patronize them, definitely it will increase their volume of production, and that will also improve the local market. Because when people see that the local government chairman or a senator is riding a car that is produced in Nigeria, definitely other people will follow suit. Okay. So I want us to please look at that area. Then on the issue of exports, I think the government has to do more than what it is doing now. Because like myself now, I try to export the substitutional food which they use to generate energy. But because of the problem we had at the port and others, the company in Japan gave us 2,000 metric tons to be supplied. Up to now, we cannot split because of the constraints at the port or the logistics that is involved. Because by the time you finish,
can you be more specific? What was the actual problem? Why you do?
I said coal.
I know.
The problem.
What is the major? Why don't you export it?
What we are saying is why we cannot export this. One, by the time we relate our people to what is going on, the international market has dropped for that crude at that point in time. We were to supply at $220.
Yes.
By now we are talking, it's now 185 from the international market. So when we now see what we use in producing, we will produce to export at $200. You get my explanation?
Exchange rate.
Is it that you didn't have adequate equipment to produce immediately and ship?
Yes, that is one. The second thing is that by the time you finish the production and you want to export, you will have to pay at the port.
Okay, you have the
Yes.
Okay, very good. I think that relates